Thank you so much for being here at the lab info session. If you want to be who you are and do what you're here for and venture boldly forward, you're in the right place. I'm Carrie Spalding, the creator and facilitator and intrepid guide, I like to say, of the lab. And we are here to learn about this magical place, experience, community course. And this is a beautiful painting done by one of our alumna, Netta Herbley, who captured, I think, the essence of the lab in this lovely watercolor painting. So I want to talk first about the what and the why of the lab and just give you a sense of the lenses I'm bringing to it and the perspective that I bring so that you understand kind of who this human is, who you're thinking about going on an adventure with, and how this all got started and what some of the goals are. So I have a background as first, I was a classroom teacher, and I was a teacher for 9 years, helping children and smaller humans find their way. And then I've been a coach for 15 years. And in coaching, I've helped individuals, adults for years working towards whatever it is that they want to create, whatever it is that they want to make happen in their lives. I've also been a speaker and a trainer, so I do live experiential workshops and keynotes. And I run a Get It Done group called the Life Workshop, which is a free bonus with the lab. Just mentioning that now. That's an environment where every day people are showing up and in real time doing the things that matter to them. And so all of these professional experiences really shape what I bring to the lab. And what they've also done is really shape what I understand about what people of all kinds of personalities and experiences and backgrounds need to be who they are and do what they're here on the planet to do and move more boldly forward in their lives. So I want to talk a little bit about my own experience now. As a visual artist, I have discovered that art is a way to really practice experientially, developing some of those internal competencies that we all need to be more bold in our lives. I'm also an improviser by background, and in improv, we practice showing up without a plan and venturing into the unknown. And I found that using improv concepts and tools with my coaching clients, my students, the people I talk to in workshops, my Get It Done group, have really empowered people to venture boldly forward in their lives, and have certainly helped me. In 2018, I set out on a nomadic adventure solo all over the United States. And it was supposed to be for 1 year, and it was so amazing that it's still happening all these years later. And what I found was that this was my own ultimate bold venture into the unknown, and that I was really living all of the stuff that I've been working with clients and people I was speaking to. I was really kind of living that. And then first and foremost, I'm a human, so that's always going to be the lens that I bring first and foremost. So all of these things together are what I bring with me, are sort of the toolbox and the lens that I use for this experiential course, the lab. What I wanted to do when creating the lab was to bring everything that I offer, every human that I've worked with and helped. I want to bring all of that insight together in this experiential course, because what I've learned is that while talking and thinking can get us really great places, actually, experiential methods can be much deeper and much more efficient. And I want people to get real time in their bones growth. And even my private clients who have made such huge strides, I was thinking of them when I created the lab, because I thought, what if I could help them develop these muscles that they all need, every single one of them needs to do whatever they're doing? What if I could help them build those in real time? So that's how the lab was born, or why I should say the lab was born. So I wanted just to give you a little sense of me. And, part of what I want for you is to know who you're going on this adventure with. So as I mentioned, I set out on January 1st, 2018. These images are the first moments of my nomadic adventure, setting out solo to live all over the United States. And along the way, I have met so many people and made so many relationships that never would have happened otherwise, because I went on this bold adventure. And I've had experiences that I never could have imagined happening. I just couldn't have predicted them. I have really, really grown my relationship with myself in ways that again, I could not have predicted. I thought I had a pretty good relationship with myself and I thought I knew myself pretty well. And what I found out by living into these principles and building these muscles we teach and we practice in the lab, that there was so much deeper it could go, and that's changed every part of my life. I have had so much fun and just like so much joy as a result of being bolder and practicing all of these competencies. And I have also found parts of myself that I literally never knew existed. So before my nomadic adventure, I had never thought about doing art. Definitely didn't think it was something that I, could do if it even had occurred to me. And there were some other parts of me that I didn't even know about. And I wouldn't have known about. Another thing that happened because of my nomadic adventure is that it led me to be able to make a much bigger contribution to the world. And by living boldly and putting myself into the unknown and making myself vulnerable and available to connection and saying yes to experiences that were kind of scary, I ended up finding opportunities to really contribute who I am to the world, and including the life workshop. You could see an image there, including so much of the speaking I've been able to do, including random strangers who I'll never see again, but who I was able to help in some way. And of course, I've been the recipient of so much of that help and generosity as well. And including the program that you're considering signing up for. It never would have happened if not for the stuff that I built and practiced through this adventure. And my empathy has also just deepened tremendously, putting myself in all of these places so different from anywhere I'd ever been and connecting with humans all over the place really helped to shape the perspective that I bring. And finally, it's just a really beautiful world. Now, listen, y'all, I know I'm with you. If you're thinking, beautiful world, things are kind of a mess right now, I'm right there with you. There's a lot of chaos and tough stuff happening in our world. And I believe that tapping into the beauty and the pleasure and the joy of being a person on this planet is one of the most vital things we can do as we navigate these really challenging times. So all along the way, almost since day one of my adventure, I would encounter people who would say, "Oh, I wish I could do that," or "You're living the dream," or "I want to, but," or like, "How do you?" or "Why did you?" And I took these questions in and had a lot of one-on-one conversations. And over time, they started to really plant in me as someone who my mission is to help people, in their own lives. And I started really thinking, how can I help with this experience? What do I want to share? And it started integrating with all of these other pieces, the coaching and, the speaking and the teaching and the improvisation workshops. And I started to really drill down again, what do we all need, no matter what our goals and dreams are? And I started over many years to really clarify what it was that my nomadic adventure had allowed me to develop, along with the improvisation, along with the visual art, which became this unexpected glue that kind of brought a lot of things together. And I realized that these were all the same things that my clients need, my coaching clients, my private clients need to do anything that they're trying to do. And they were the same things that the people in my experiential workshops were coming up to me and saying, like, that, I need more of that, and feeling like I am growing in real time here. And so I also started thinking about, how can I help get people there? And what's getting in the way? Fear of the unknown, it's a big one. We don't know where we're going. People are afraid of failing or being exposed or being seen, especially in a pretty judgy world. Sometimes going forward boldly in our lives means we have to accept a part of our reality that we don't want to. It sure did for me. When I set out on my adventure, I had to accept the parts of my life that I really felt were great and the parts that were not how I would have chosen them. We're afraid of losing control, even if it's just a perception of control. I think if the last 10 years have taught us anything, it's that it's always just a perception that we know what's going to happen. We can also get scared of getting stuck. If we take a leap, what happens if we don't like it? Maybe we don't know where we're going or what it will look like, or quite what it is. We just know it's not this. So that's really hard to act on. Or what if we know where we want to go, but we don't know how to get there. It can feel really confusing. Sometimes what gets in the way is that we know it's going to take a lot of work and effort and discomfort. And one of the things I love about the lab is it helps us develop these skills. I wanted it to be fun. Like, how can we make it more fun to be brave and to grow and to venture boldly forward? We feel like we don't have time. I will say there's some folks who have signed up for the lab when they really felt like they didn't have time, and they are so glad that they did. It is amazing the growth that can happen in the course, even in just the 2 live hours a week, even if you forget about all of the amazing bonus opportunities and real world experiments and all of that. We can get really overwhelmed by the pieces and the steps and the logistics. This is really easy to do because when we're trying to contemplate a big change or a big growth or goal, there's so many pieces. So it's hard to keep moving. We might being ourselves might mean disappointing somebody else. At least we might fear that it does. It's not always the case. And we can get distracted and just like there's so much happening. There's so much to do. There's so many fires to put out, and we kick the can down the road to someday. We also are just dealing, I mentioned this earlier, with a context of so much uncertainty, shifting ground underneath us. It feels really shaky for a lot of us. And so it can be hard to be bold and go out into the unknown. So, this is what I want you to know today. From my perspective, you are taking risks either way, because if you don't take all those risks that we just ran through, you are risking missing all of these beautiful things that you could experience, the people you could know, the contribution you could make, showing up authentically, letting go of perfectionism, doing what you're here to do. So, what we get to ask ourselves is, what's the bigger risk? And which risks am I going to choose for me? And I designed the lab to help you take the right risks for you, whatever. And I'm not the person to arbitrate that. I don't decide. You do. Whatever you want to do, I want to help you get there. So just take a moment. And if you're watching the video, just pause, what are you risking by not venturing boldly? We know what the risk is to do that bold adventure. What are you risking by not? And we're just going to flash through some questions. And I want to encourage you to think about in any area of your life, what would it be possible for you if you could do the things I'm going to flash on the screen? So these are all things that lab alumni have reported getting out of the lab. So what would be possible for you if you could approach your life and work with more courage, boldness, and positive risk taking? And if you're here live, you might want to jot down the first thing that comes into your head. Let's get your intuition on board. Let's let go of your thinky brain. What's the first thing that occurs to you? And you can watch the recording later and take more time with these prompts if you want to, and just pause. What would be possible for you if you could loosen up and break free from perfectionism? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Write it down. What would be possible if you could bring more joy, play, adventure, novelty, vitality, freedom, pleasure, and fun into your everyday life? Part of what we're doing with this exercise is teaching you to override the analytical brain and just let whatever your gut says speak. What would be possible for you if you could unlock your creativity? What would happen? What might happen? What would be possible if you could experience more connection? What would be possible if you could access and trust your intuition more? What would be possible if you gained personal and professional confidence, if you felt more confident? What would open up that's not open now? What about this one? What would be possible if you could navigate uncertainty and change with greater groundedness? We all got to navigate uncertainty and change, whether we choose to or not. We're going to. What would be possible if you could do that with more groundedness? What would be possible if you could contribute more to your community, your workplace, and the world? I should say, or the world, right? Wherever you're, whatever comes up for your gut. What would be possible if you could gain clarity about what you actually want? What would that mean for you? First thing that your gut says. What about if you were to find your voice and show up with more authentic expression of who you are? And what about if you could get better at thinking on your feet and spotting opportunities everywhere? What would be possible? Okay, I know we zoomed through those quickly, and I hope that that was a useful way to warm up for you. We're doing two things. We're warming up your clarity about what you're actually wanting and getting your intuition on board and helping you think about, well, what might I want to get out of this course? Because the thing about the lab is people come in with all different goals as all different personalities and backgrounds, and everybody gets what they need, and it's all a little different. So everything I just ran through, those are benefits that alumni have reported. And so you might have noticed that some felt stronger for you than others, like more necessary, more exciting. So the lab is short for two things. It's short for the labyrinth because our lives are like a labyrinth that we must navigate. And sometimes it might seem like we're a lot farther away from the prize than we actually are, or sometimes we might think we're closer than we are. We encounter surprises along the way, and we all walk our own labyrinth alone, even though we can join with other humans who are walking their own way through life. Oh, and I said two things, labyrinth, and the other one is laboratory. It's a place where we actually experiment and try things. And like we don't just talk about these ideas, we actually get them in our bones. So that's why it's called the lab. Okay, let's talk about the how. So, lab alumni joined me in feeling confounded by how to describe the lab, and people in the group often call it lab magic. And so we've done our best, and I want to tell you that at my lab website, there is so much video footage, testimonials of alumni doing their best to explain how the lab happens and what's so magical about it. They even have a video where they got together, nine of the alumni got together to try to describe like why the lab is hard to explain. And Miriam Harlan, an alum who's done all four lab modules, said, I think it's a little bit like a recipe for some really amazingly delicious food item or dessert or something, where you can tell people, well, you can put this in and you can put this in and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But until they actually cook it or bake it and taste it, they really have no idea. And everybody in the group was like, that, that said it. So there are lots of videos that can help you look at all the different components, not in my words, in the alumni's words. I really encourage you to check these out. And as Melissa says, there is nothing like this actually. So it'll be really helpful, I think, for you to hear these things in their own words. So I'm going to talk about the how. How do we do this? How do we help you develop all of those things that we were just thinking about? One is with visual art play. And we talked earlier about all of these things that we all need to do what we're doing. Visual art play helps us build these things like muscles, and it is super fun. We practice using improv, and we do improv exercises, which are very fun, which also help us develop all of these very same skills. We do real world experiments. There is optional homework that allows you to actually put things into practice in the real world. And it's through doing those real world experiments. These are just things I've done. Don't worry. Nobody's going to make you put on a bonnet and go to the Texas State Capitol, I promise. This was just a slide to show you real world, trying it on in the real world. There are reflective prompts that will help you privately reflect. And looking at yourself and really deeply considering yourself is a big part of the lab. There's a lot of discussion, interaction, and community. And the community is the magic that brings everything together. It just wouldn't be the same without whoever it is that ends up in your cohort. These are all awesome, growth-oriented people. And it really is more than the sum of its parts, which is literally out of the mouth of somebody in one of those videos about why the lab is hard to explain. So a few questions that are common. What is it like during the session? What's the balance of the different elements? So every session generally includes all of the elements that I just described. There is me teaching concepts directly and case studies and stories. The bulk of every class is the actual experiential learning, and it's a mix of all those things I just described. So there will be times where I'll teach a concept for a longer time and maybe have some slides and tell some stories. And then most of the class, we are doing a mishmash of visual art play, improv exercises, reflective prompts, discussions, both in small groups and in the full group, and all of these things that kind of work together. I have zero experience with art and or improv. Is this for me? Or I'm a very experienced or even professional artist or creative. Is the lab right for me? So, one of the things about the lab that is so cool is that there are people who have never done an improv exercise and people who have performed improv on stage. There are people who have never picked up an art supply in adulthood and people who are professional creatives and artists. On that webpage, you can hear from members. Here's someone, she says, you don't have to be an artist or aspiring artist to get a lot out of this experience because what you're going to get is that encouragement to be creative, be playful, take chances, connect with people. And that's beneficial for all kinds of reasons in all kinds of settings. Okay. So you might come in with not a background in art. Here's someone who came in with a lot of experience in art, like all the time making art, and found that her art practice was transformed. This is a recording from just after the first module. She's now gone through all four or three, I think, out of the four modules. And her art practice has just continued to expand. And then here's Jen, who came in having had a lot of hobby experience with art and never called herself an artist and identifies as an artist now after going through the lab. She says, I'm doing the most art I've ever done in my entire life, and it feels like something that's incorporated into who I am. So I give these as examples. If you have no art experience, no interest in becoming an artist, the lab is still for you if these other things speak to you. If you have a ton of experience, the lab is for you. It'll meet you where you are. I have a schedule conflict. Should I still sign up if I have to miss part or all of a class or two? Absolutely, yes. It's just realistically that life happens. You might already have like a vacation planned or something. We've had a number of people who have had to miss some classes and they still say it's absolutely worth it. What I would say is if you have to miss more than three, it's probably not the right time just because like you're going to be sad. You're just going to be sad to miss that much, I think. My life is pretty great, and I feel like I already have a lot of confidence and courage. Could the lab still be right for me? This is such a great question. And absolutely, we've had a number of alumni come through the lab who came in feeling like, yeah, things are pretty good. I don't want to totally change my life. I'm pretty happy with how things are. And they weren't feeling held back by a lack of confidence or courage or a lack of boldness. What brought them to the program were some of those other benefits and some of the other things that can be developed, such as playfulness and spontaneity, vitality, expansiveness, adventure, novelty, maybe wanting to feel like, yeah, things are pretty sweet and I'm kind of like in a pretty nice comfort zone and I want to stretch out of my comfort zone and expand into places that maybe I don't even know about. And so, what tends to happen with these folks when they finish the program, they've told me that not only have they gotten those things that they came in for, they've also often discovered that they actually have grown their confidence and courage and developed even more boldness because they've found ways that maybe they were holding back that they didn't even realize. And we can all grow our confidence and courage and boldness. And we can always grow and expand and venture boldly forward in new ways. And so most folks who come through the program do end up finding that there is some expansiveness in that area, even if it's not the thing that they really came in for. I would encourage you to check out those videos of the various alumni talking about their experience because you'll see there's a huge range of reasons people come in and what they're getting out of it. And we've talked about a little earlier what makes the lab difficult to explain. And one of the things that the alumni talk about in that video is everybody's different and everybody's coming in from a different place. And getting what they need and getting different things out of it and also being inspired by the other people in the group. And so they end up kind of expanding in ways that they had anticipated and then expanding in ways that they had not even anticipated. So my best advice would be if you have a sense in your gut that as you take in the program as a whole, that this is calling to you, that this is the right place for you, that this would bring you forward on your own journey through life. That's probably a pretty good sign that the lab is going to be a good fit for you. It's totally okay if not all of the things that any person could possibly get out of the lab are things that you're actively seeking. Everybody's journey is different and people get what they need because the beautiful thing about these exercises and concepts is that they are applicable in so many different ways. And so you're going to get to, in the program, connect the dots in ways that are going to really serve what your goals are. Check in with your gut. And if your gut tells you this is going to lead me to places I want to go, that's probably a pretty good sign. Great question. Okay, I've heard this course referred to as lab foundations. Are there different lab courses? Another great question. So you might sometimes hear alumni talking in the videos about lab foundations, and they are talking about this course that you are considering, which is the foundational lab course, which is designed to be a standalone experience and complete in and of itself. And yes, there are different lab courses. After you graduate the foundational course, there are three other modules that you can take. Nobody can take them unless they've taken the foundational module that you're considering. There's lab selves, lab people, and lab places and worlds, and they're all amazing in their own way. So just want to let you know that if you graduate the lab, you have access to those as well. Are there payment plans available? Yes. The way that you join, you are going to reserve your spot with a deposit. And then you'll get an invoice and you can choose to pay in full or you can choose to pay over time. And then there will be a due date for that final invoice. All the info is on the sign up page, but absolutely. You get some great bonuses. There is a private session with me called a doodle date. You get membership in the life workshop, which is up to 4 times a week. You can come and get together with people and work on your optional homework live or actually work on anything you want to. There's videos about that on the website too. Lab Studio, you get 3 months of membership in the alumni group of the lab, which has people from all different cohorts. It is so much fun. And after class time, so we stick around after class for you to have extra hangout time. Optional homework, so that these are those real world experiments, and you can expect to spend anywhere from 20 minutes to infinite hours a week. It's really up to you. Everybody who has gone through the lab and talked about this agrees. The more you do, it's great because every time you do something, you tend to get something out of it. And we've had people go through who just haven't had the bandwidth to do as much some weeks, and they still get a lot out of the class. And then there's a weekly recap every week that goes over the key concepts and the optional experiments. And even more, you get a goal setting questionnaire and a playlist that is themed to help actually deepen your learning with songs that specifically speak to the concepts. So, maximum 12 people per cohort is a very firm cap because I want everyone to have that really strong connected experience. The upcoming spring 2026 cohort spring here in the United States, not spring for everyone. It starts April 16th. All this info is also on the website. The deadline to sign up is April 8th, which is Wednesday. I really encourage you to check out the stories from people like Jason and Sarah who says, get over the fence and just do it. and Ariel and all the other alumni who have some testimonials. If you would like to talk to someone personally who has been through the program, just shoot me an email, let me know, and I will do my best to hook you up with one of our amazing alumni. These are just some of them. I've had folks tell me they're really happy to talk to anyone who's interested in just like getting to connect directly. There are also some extra quick action bonuses for just for you folks who are watching this info session. That's it. If you sign up by Sunday, because I want to get this thing going. So that's just a few days from now, the end of this weekend at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, you are going to get a private onboard session with me. So you and I will meet before the lab begins and talk about your goals and kind of get you all set. And you will also get instant access to the Life Workshop. So Life Workshop membership for this cohort, it actually begins not until next month. But if you join by Sunday, I'm going to just throw you on into the group if you want to join early. Don't worry about it. If you're like, I don't even know what this is yet, you'll have access. And so I would just want to encourage you right now, look around. This is it. This is your life. And the lab is only one way to venture boldly forward into it. I hope you come with me if you're feeling called to. And whether or not you join the lab, this is it. So say to yourself, this is me. Like, this is who I am. This is what I got to work with here. I'm the human who has to do my life. These are my people. Whoever is available to you to connect with, these are the people that we're going through life with. This is my place. For all its messiness, this is the planet that we're on, that we get to do our lives in, and this is the time that we get to do it. This is it. And we got to make it enough, and that's the perspective I bring to the lab, is that we have everything we need to move forward. So I want to invite you to come boldly forward with me. I'm so happy that you were here, and feel free to keep in touch with me. And I just encourage you, reach out and let me know if you have any questions. I hope you jump on board, and thanks so much for being here.